What is up, everybody? Welcome to part 2 of the Hi-capa Ballin on the budget. Before I start, I'd like to talk about the first part of my Ballin on the budget Hi-capa series. I want to give you some clarification just in case if anyone was confused about any of the first 3 upgrades. The first part would be the Hi-capa 4.3 versus 5.1. I know I said that there was certain incompatible parts, but I kind of made it sound like there was a lot of incompatible parts, which is not the fact. The actual fact is that a lot of the parts are compatible except for the outer barrel and the slide. Besides that, everything else should be compatible. The second thing I'd like to clarify is about the bucking and the barrel. The bucking itself actually helps give you consistent range and accuracy, while the barrel itself helps you increase FPS. Last thing I would like to add in the first part of the series is the recoil buffer kit. The recoil buffer kit helps extend the performance of your Hi-capa stock slide because it minimizes the impact of going back and forth, and it extends your life, the life of the slide a little bit longer if you're really balling on a budget. Otherwise, you can leave it out, and if the slide cracks, you can always upgrade to the Airsoft Masterpiece slide. Without further ado, let's go to part 2 of Ballin' on a Budget Hi-capa series. So, upgrade number 4. Upgrade number 4 would be a flashlight. I think a flashlight is a very practical instrument to use and upgrade on your Hi-capa just because there's so many things you can do with it. You can light up your target to see where you're shooting at, light up dark rooms, or you can even use it to trace your BBs if you don't have a tracer, which I would recommend later on, which is one of the last upgrades. But anyways, it does help blind your targets and give you cover, and I think this is one of the better upgrades you can get, even though it's a little bit expensive. This specific brand is TLR1HL, made by Streamlight. I got this for about $130 on Amazon, and you could probably find it a little bit cheaper if you do some digging around. I know Optics Planet and some other websites do have a discount at times, and Primary Arms, but you do have to do your digging if you want to get the cheapest. I've seen it for $90, so definitely do your research and digging around if you like the Streamlight TLR1HL. Another thing I would like to recommend is the BB Ricochet lens, or BB Proof Ricochet lens. I got this on Airsoft Gateway. It was about $20 to $25. There are many different colors you can get with it. I just chose purple because that was what was in stock at the time. There's a lot of different colors ranging from red, green, yellow. They have all these names for it, but it definitely is a good investment for $20 to $25 to save your flashlight, because if you get it shot out, you can potentially break this $130 piece of kit, and that's gonna suck. I did have it shot out, the original lens, and that's why I replaced it with the purple one, but I was lucky enough that it didn't damage anything else. Another light that I run is the Valkyrie O-Light, the PL2, on my Airsoft AK, right here. I don't really recommend the O-Light, the Valkyrie PL02, just because I just don't think it's a very good light. It's very cheap. It's about $60 when I got it. I feel like you can get a better flashlight if you save up. There's nothing really wrong with this brand or this particular model. It's just, it's not as bright, even though the description says it's 1000 lumens compared to my TLR1, which is 800 lumens. I feel like the TLR1 has a little bit more concentrated beam, while the Olight has a little more scattered beam, which can help at nighttime outdoor environments. Upgrade number 5, HPA Kit. Now I know some people cringe at the thought of running HPA on their gun, but I feel like there are a lot more pros than cons. Sure, you have to run a line, but the pros are a lot more advantageous, such as minimal cooldown time compared to gas, and more, I feel like, more reliability. But that's just my opinion. So what I run is a amped airsoft kit. It comprises of a rebranded Ninja tank and a nice braided HPA line that I use. I also replaced the amped airsoft regulator because I had a little bit of issues of it kind of running off. I would have it set 320 FPS, and then at the end of the game it go up to like 420. So I'm not sure what's wrong with it. I did give AMP a call. They say it needs some breakdown or break-in time, but I've ran it for a couple of times now and it's still kind of running hot. And I know one of my local fields did ban the amped regulator, so that's why I run the Redline SFR. The Redline SFR is great. I haven't had a problem with it and it's pretty consistent, so that's what I recommend. Now don't get me wrong, Amped Airsoft does make great things. Like, I love their braided lines and the in-grip lines. They are bulletproof and the customer service is bar none. I did order a mini LiPo battery for my AK and it did come out dead. So I contacted them and they sent another one right away. And I'm very satisfied with the customer service. That being said, the Amped Airsoft Kit usually runs around $152. The Redline SFR does run you about $145. And in order to run HPA on your airsoft pistol, you would definitely need a HPA tap for your magazine. I'm currently running the CQB Russian HPA tap and it's been good so far, but you can see I dropped it once or twice and it starts bending a little bit. That's because this thing is made from aluminum. Another one that I run is a Action Army HPA adapter, which seems like it's a little bit better constructed. I've ran a couple on my other magazines and it's pretty solid because it's made from steel, so less bending over there. Upgrade number 6, an Airsoft Masterpiece Slide. I know anyone that runs a TM Hi-capa, they want to upgrade the slide immediately, or that's the first thing that they want to upgrade. I don't recommend that just because stock parts do slow down in a heavier slide. So that's why this would be upgrade number 6. Airsoft Masterpiece Slides. What can I say about them? They're a great piece of kit. You can get them on Airsoft Gateway. I think that's where I got mine. From $90 to $150 to I think like 300 plus for like some of the special editions. But this one's a little cheaper one. This was like $130, and it's just very aesthetically pleasing to the eye, having a different color toned pistol. So after you purchase your Airsoft Masterpiece Slide, you do have to fit it on your Hi-capa frame. What I did, and what I think is the best way to fit your Airsoft Masterpiece Slide to your frame, is to basically get some silicone oil and put it in the rails of your Hi-capa frame and your Airsoft Masterpiece Slide. For the slide break-in, I recommend something thick like this Slip 2000 Airsoft Gel. It's a little bit thicker, it's a lot thicker actually than silicone spray, because silicone spray does evaporate later on. This actually stays on the slide and it helps you break it in. The Airsoft Masterpiece slide will have a hard time fitting on your frame in the beginning because it needs some break-in time, because it needs to mesh with the rails. So what I did was basically just hand rack it. I hand racked this thing about 2,000 or 3,000 times before it started sliding very well. You definitely want to have tight tolerances. You don't really want a sloppy slide sliding around the rails, as you might run into some issues later on. After you get your Airsoft Masterpiece slide, I do recommend a hammer and recoil spring. I run a 125% one from Airsoft Gateway, and it seems to get the job done. Does recoil back faster and return back a little bit faster. Since we're talking about slides, I do recommend a aftermarket blowback unit. This specific blowback unit is a dynamic precision, which I do not recommend because I did have some fitment issues with it. Your mileage may vary, but I had a bit of a time trying to fit the dynamic precision light blowback unit into this, and I also lost the Allen screw in the back. This is actually the stock TM Allen screw that I have because it just got loose even though I Loctited it. The stock TM Allen screw is actually a lot longer, so it helps it secure it a little bit better. These run from $40 to $60. It helps lighten up your slide a little bit for a little bit better performance. I feel like the dynamic precision blowback unit, you could probably get something better, like if you can find Airsoft Masterpiece. Now for the nozzle. You can run your nozzle stock until it breaks. After that, I would recommend a cow aluminum nozzle for HPA, or an AIP or garter reinforced nozzle for green gas. Now the reason why I run an aluminum nozzle is because I want durability. A lot of people do say that you should not run aluminum or any type of metal because it can mash into your brass hop-up unit, and you could potentially destroy the nozzle and the hop-up unit, but I just wanted to try it out, and so far it works very well for me. Your mileage may vary, like I said. Now the final upgrade I would recommend is a guide rod, outer barrel, and a guide plug. The reason why I recommend a guide rod is because for some reason, at least with my Hi-capa, it chewed up the stock one. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There you go. Can you see how chewed up it is? I suspect the reason for this is because it was slightly out of alignment and I kept hitting against the frame. So this kind of messed up the guide rod, so I ordered a new guide rod. This is an Airsoft Masterpiece guide rod. You can screw and unscrew certain lengths of it, so you can put a 4.3 or 5.1 guide rod length on here. The reason why it's purple and gold right now is because I forgot to Loctite this thing, and this thing basically flew out when I was playing and I lost it. So I just got a backup one. And going back to the short stroke kit, I like to retain my lockback on my pistols for the last shot. So I put very minimal buffers on here. It's basically one hard washer and one soft one. And that is about as much as I can put on there to retain lockback. If you don't care about the lockback, you just want your slide to retain as much as possible, you could put a lot of buffers on here. For guide plugs, which one would I recommend? I went for an aluminum one before I switched to the super smooth Delrin or Delrin type that you can get on Airsoft Gateway. I like this one because it's super smooth and it's plastic, so I don't have to worry about any scratches. or any friction because it's plastic on metal. So that's why I like this, and it's super light. Lighter than this aluminum one here too. For outer barrels, I recommend the Cow threaded outer barrel. I've been trying to find the Airsoft Masterpiece ones, but they have been drying out. This one is just as good as the Airsoft Masterpiece one. This one's a little bit slightly duller finish compared to Airsoft Masterpiece, but it works just as well. What I have here is a steel or metal threaded adapter for my Ace-Tech lighter. I've used the stock Ace-Tech adapter for my threaded barrel, and it just keeps breaking all the time because it's super thin aluminum. But the steel one seems like it does the job. A guide rod should not cost you more than $35. The Cow barrel can cost from anything from $100 to $200 depending where you buy it. The Airsoft Gateway guide plug should cost around $10 to $20. And the Ace-Tech lighter, which is one of my favorite tracers, is about $60 to $80 depending on where you find it. So now that I went into detail about my slide and all the upgrades that went with it, what did I do with my lower TM frame? Honestly, the only thing that I've done to it is basically put a hammer spring in here that's 125 to match the recoil spring. Besides that, I find the stock unit is good to go. And this concludes my Ballin' on a Budget Hi-capa series. I hope you learned something today in terms of Hi-capa upgrades. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button and share it to your buddies. If you have any questions, I will put my contact below the description, and I'm glad to help you out in anything that you guys need. Think later on I am going to do a gear loadout series and a rifle upgrade series. That being said, guys and gals, play hard, play safe, call your hits. This is Kabuki, signing off.